do smell that bacon. A pretty peaceful morning.
Boys, so Mommy's going to go to this place called the Tallgrass Prairie today. You guys have to stay here because it's really hot. So you guys will stay here today. And when Mommy gets home, she and Daddy are going to take you guys back to the doggy park, okay? So that's this afternoon when you get home. So save up your energy so you're ready to go. On my way to Tallgrass Prairie National Preserve. And somehow my GPS misdirected me or lost where it was supposed to be or whatever else. So I'm on this little country road. Hopefully I can hold the camera a little more steady than I usually am able to. But I wanted to show you this because this is what the Flint Hills area of Kansas looks like, which is where we're at. And the Flint Hills is kind of these rolling hills, this rolling hill area. It's got the last little bit of original buffalo prairie grass, tallgrass prairie grass that can be found in the entire world. I think there's only like 4% of it left, and most of it's found here in Kansas in the Flint Hills. So this is kind of what that area looks like. It's really pretty. I don't know if you can tell from my video, but it is really a very pretty area. Very green with some weeds and stuff over there on the kind of right hand side of the road, and then just these rolling hills. Okay, so we finally made it to the Tallgrass Prairie National Preserve. This is kind of what it looks like as you enter. So up there on the hill there's some older buildings that we'll walk up here in a few minutes and look at, and then go and take a look at all of the Tallgrass Prairie stuff. So as we walk along here at the Tallgrass Prairie Preserve, we get to explore some of the buildings that were a part once upon a time of the Sweetgrass Farm. That was one of the largest farms in the area. It used to encompass most of this preserve, so it includes this barn, and then it includes this house and the outbuildings that are over here. The Sweetgrass Farm also had orchards and farmland that they had down there in what they call the bottoms, which is that across the road, across the highway, closer to the creek. And then behind the barn and behind the houses there was grazing land, because all of that is part of the Flint Hills. It's harder, rockier soil, so harder to plow. So they use that as grazing land for their animals. So there are the ramps. This was a 3-story barn that they built here. There are ramps that they would use to get hay and feed up to the top levels, and then in the bottom levels is kind of where they housed all of the animals. The roof was originally made of tin. Now I guess they have changed it to shingles, and originally there was also a huge windmill that went with this that would help to generate power to run some of the machinery needed on a farm during that time. So this is the lower level of the barn. This would be where all of the animals were housed. particularly the horses and mules used to help farm. So this is kind of cool. All the buildings, of course, on this site are made out of limestone because that was building material that was readily available. Kind of unusual for the day because it was a lot stronger than the type of material that people would build buildings with. But the cool thing about this is actually a chicken coop that was on the farm. But the cool thing about this is up on the top, if you look, is grass. So this, if it were a house, would be what's called a soddy. Means that the outside of the house usually was made out of wood or stone, but then the roof was made out of sod or dirt with grass on top. So they would actually have grass growing on the roof of their house, and this would help insulate everything and keep everything nice and toasty warm in the winter and nice and cool in the summer. Kind of cool. And here we have it. This is the star of the preserve, I guess you could say. This is that tallgrass prairie grass that we were talking about that grows here so beautifully. It's not super tall quite yet. It usually gets its tallest in the fall, but it is really cool. This is the modern day view looking out from the front of the house that was part of the Spring Hill farm. So if you look across what's now a highway out there, you can see what they called the bottomlands, which was where they did a lot of the farming. There's a creek that runs through there. You can tell that by the trees that go through. That usually kind of denotes a creek or a river. And so they would farm down there. Partly because the soil was less rocky down there. The closer you got to a river or creek, the less rocky the soil was. Also because of ready access to water. This is the front view as you're getting ready to walk up to the front of the house. Pretty cool, pretty imposing if you were someone coming here to do business, probably in the 1800s. But a very pretty house. With all of the limestone and the extra little touches on the pillars and things like that. I'm beginning to think Danny and I must have a thing for staircases because this is really cool. So this staircase in this house is made out of oak that was hand carved. All of it's been hand carved. All of it was made elsewhere and then shipped in and put together here at the house. They put Roman numerals on the bottom of each of the pieces. But man, just look at the craftsmanship. They don't make them like that anymore. This is kind of interesting. So this is what the outhouse here at the farm looked like. Pretty unusual for outhouses to have windows. Pretty unusual for outhouses to have 3 areas that you can use to go to the bathroom, one of which is child size. And really unusual for outhouses to be made out of limestone. They would use lime to help break down the solids so that they wouldn't have to move the outhouse and it wouldn't ever get full. Here's the outside of the outhouse. Kind of a cool looking building. So we're going to take a walk on this Southwind Nature Trail. The cool thing about this trail, so part of this park allows animals, pets, dogs, on leashes for part of the trails, and then the other part of the park does not allow animals at all. Part of the reason for that is because the other part of the park has bison grazing on the grasslands. Probably not a good idea to bring your animals with you on that part of the park. So we're going to take a little jaunt down this park, down this side. I don't know how far I will get, but we're just going to take a walk. One of the things that people don't necessarily know about these tallgrass prairies is that they're not actually all just grass. There are hundreds and thousands of wildflowers that also make up that area as well. So here's a couple of examples of wildflowers that are blooming right now. We have some daisies right there with the white, and I'm not sure what those orange flowers are, but they're really pretty. So all the way up there on that top of that hill is the schoolhouse that the man who originally built all these buildings around here had built for the local children in the area. So it's a one-room schoolhouse that we are hopefully going to have a chance to go and take a look at. So I decided to take the entire Southwind Trail, which goes all the way up to the little one-room schoolhouse. I was going to drive up there, but I was enjoying the wildflowers so much that I decided to just go ahead and walk the whole thing. One of the things that struck me is this is probably similar to the route that the children would take to get to school. Kind of a hike up here every day. They had to work hard to get to school. So here we are inside the little one-room schoolhouse. Kind of neat to see. Here in the center of the room is something called the recitation bench. This is where kids who are getting what we nowadays call direct instruction from the teacher would come and sit, and they do work on math exercises or reading or have their handwriting critiqued or things like that. And while that was going on, the other students were working at these desks around the room. As they were working, they were hearing the teacher give the students at the recitation desk, their bench, their lessons. And so it says that typically by the time a student left this schoolhouse, they would have heard the same lessons 8 times. Kind of cool.